welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Brewmaster Core box for the Bayou faction. Box contains 6 minis: Brewmaster, the Master, this gremlin here, his totem Apprentice Wesley, the henchman Fingers, and 3 Moon Shinobi, this being one of them. Little tiny Bayou gremlins, so probably going to be somewhat difficult. But that's the artwork on the back of the box. I'm going to turn my lamp back on. Renders Brewmaster with the stick and a barrel. Fingers with the satchel. Wesley with also some kind of basket. And the Moon Shinobi being goofy little drunken guys. Alright, let's look at the sprue. Haha, neat. Alright. We've got the entire box on one sprue. That's pretty cool. Up here is going to be our Brewmaster, and then Apprentice Wesley is this sprue. Fingers, a mere 4 bits here, and then the 3 Moon Shinobi, which is a pun. Some people didn't realize that Moon Shinobi is a pun. Moonshine, Shinobi. The more you know. Alright, let's look at the instructions for Brewmaster plus Apprentice Wesley and Fingers, and then get started on the big man himself, the Booze Pope. For the order on Brewmaster, we'll grab his body and then add the front half of his chest, followed by the butt flap, which will go right along the butt. Both of the feet, it's fairly obvious which side they go on if you look at the toesies. Okay, there's a big toe right there. Anyways, once you do both the feet, we can add the head and then the mask he's wearing as well up here. We'll finish up with the left arm holding the stick, add the 2 halves of the barrel he's holding in his right arm, and then add the right arm to the body. So let's get started with these 2 pieces. Here's the front of our body, more obvious where that piece we also clipped off is going to go. It's going to go right in here. Alright. This one will pop into place and then be nice and snug. So if you see a significant gap, it hasn't quite popped for you yet. Alright, turn around. Let's do the butt flap. The wider piece over here, not this one. This one will go on his face. Okay, the butt flap is on. Now let's work on let's look at the feet. Okay, check orientation. Brewmaster is up here. We flip it like this. We can see that this is our left foot because the big toe is on the inside. And this is our right foot because the big toe is on the inside. So we flip it back here. This is our left foot. This is our right foot. Staring at the foot knobs again. Let's do the left foot first. And the connection is really nice and solid. Not a lot of wiggling. So let's do our right foot now. That is our right foot. Okay, next is going to be the head. Pull up the sprue again. Just remind you, here's our head. And after that, the bandana, mask, whatever that goes on the front. Tell the head's gonna go in here, and there's a nice tooth that will jam into this hole on the back of the head that you can see there. Head is attached. Now let's do the mask. This one you have to make sure that it sticks out. The bottom sticks as forward as possible because you'll probably otherwise end up putting too much pressure on it, and you can see it'll slip out like that. And you'll think it's good, but it is not. So squish it up high as much as possible and pull out on the bottom at the same time. Alright, anyways, let's do the last 3 bits. His shiner's staff, the left arm, and then combine these 2 pieces and add them on his right. That's where the left arm will go. Make sure that the staff is touching the ground. This is the hardest part of the build, because you're not really sure how it's supposed to orient unless you look at the render, in which case that's what I had to do. Reference the render and realize that it's supposed to be pointing, the top is supposed to be pointing, you know, kind of away from him, and the bottom is going this way. Because the elbow doesn't have any really solid connection there. You're just going to have to go off the render. Alright, let's combine our 2 halves at the barrel. There's only one real way that's going to go together while keeping a good seam. Alright, now let's go ahead and attach that to his right arm, as well as this entire connection point right here for the barrel. Some additional things real quick. Turn around. You see this sort of notch right here from the back part of his butt flip. The barrel is going to come and rest up against that. The barrel also has its own little notch thing right here. Sorry for shaking the camera. And that notch is going to sit right here in this corner. Alright, it's nice and secure. Look at him from the front. That seems fine. And I would definitely suggest you do the left arm last, because that kept getting knocked out of place when I was trying to put the barrel arm on. Well, now let's base him. Our Brewmaster is done. Okay, hardest parts for him were definitely the arms, getting that barrel to wedge in correctly on his side and the right arm, as well as getting the shiner staff to align correctly to how it shows in the render, and then keeping it there so it will cure. Solid like 7 out of 10 difficulty on that, and a lot of it has to do just with the small bits and small connection points. But that's it for him. Let's move on to the totem. Apprentice Wesley is next. I think he's going to be slightly easier than Brewmaster, but we'll grab the body and then do both of the feet, followed by the head. Yes, I know, a bit out of order, but we will grab the right arm next, followed by the left arm, because we need this as a guide. Then our last two pieces are going to be the hat, which has a bit of rope to it, which is why we need that rope from the left arm there. And then on top of the hat on his back is the sack, satchel, well, whatever. So body, then right foot, left foot, head. Here's the body. Now let's do our right foot. There's the right foot. Now let's do the left foot. Okay, there's the left foot now. These aren't nearly as solid connections as Brewmaster feet, so I definitely recommend waiting for it to cure solidly before we continue. But we will continue and add the head. There's our head. There is no tooth to connect it, so you just kind of eyeball it and make sure it sits as well as you think it should. All right, let's do the arms. Let me find my orientation here. All right, it's going to be our right arm, the one that is more collapsed, I guess, and the left arm holding the rope. Let's add the right arm first, if the camera can focus. There we go. Here's the right arm. Now flip him over and we'll do the left one. Okay, there is the left arm. We're all done with his body. Now let's add his hat, which will be in this big spot in the back. Remember, there is a piece of rope that should connect to the rope that is being held in his left hand. There we go, and you can see the rope aligns fairly well. Okay, now we can just do the basket, and again, continue the rope that is from his hand onto the hat, onto the basket, so it all lines up. And there it is. Alright, Apprentice Wesley is all done. Let's put him on a base. Apprentice Wesley is completed. Yeah, hardest part was probably just getting that rope aligned with the left arm and the hat and the basket. Although the ankles did give me some fits. Yeah, actually, no, the rope was a little bit harder, but again, make sure that the feet are cured before you move on with the construction. Yeah, that's it. Let's move on to fingers. Fingers, Leong is next, and he is thankfully 4 pieces. We'll grab his body, put the big sacks on his back, attach his arm to his, elbow and the sacks, and then finish with his head. We've got a body. You can see the big connection tooth whole thing that'll go right in there, which will attach to this on the sacks. Okay, those are attached. Roll them over, and we see they sort of engulf his right arm, which is good. So we'll add the right arm next, which should connect to, I think, maybe around here. We'll see. Yep, there we go. Right arm is done. Now let's add the head. And what a magnificent head that is. Fingers is done. Let's add him to a base. Move on to the minions. Fingers Leong is done, very easy mini. The hardest part is aligning the rope that is in his hand with the tie on the bags he is carrying, and that's really it. Very simple model. Happy we have a nice break until we move on to the Moon Shinobi, which we will do now. Yeah. Our Moon Shinobi got a decent amount of bits to them. Yeah, we'll just go down 1, 2, 3 as they're listed on the sprue, which does not match the order on the render at all, but that's all right. Does it match the instructions? Let's scroll up real quick. No, it doesn't match the instructions, so this would be Moon Shinobi 2 on the instructions. This would be Moon Shinobi 3 on the instructions, and this would be Moon Shinobi 1 on the instructions, which also don't match the order of the render. All right, we'll start this guy, the one with the beer hat helmet thing going on. Let's look at the instructions, and then we'll go over order. Okay, first we'll grab the pelvis and leg here. We'll add the other leg to it, followed by the torso, and then this flap of cloth, wherever it attaches. I think it's somewhere on his waist. Once we're done with that, we can do the right arm, the left arm. We'll combine the two pieces of the head first and add that last. All right, so these two pieces first. All right, our first bit, leg and pelvis. Let's add our other leg right there. The Moon Shinobi is obviously lifting the leg up, so your point of checking, the thing you'll look at to check and make sure it's aligned correctly is that it should fuse with this part to make a connection point for the flappy piece. I did say we'd do our torso next, but we can add the flappy piece now right there. There we go. Flappy piece is the technical term. I wrote the manual, I should know. Right, flappy piece done. Now we can add the torso. Right, there is our torso. Now we punch our lamp for good luck. And quick review of the rest of our bits, just to be safe. Our right arm is going to be the shorter one. Our left arm is going to be the longer one. And then we'll combine the two halves of the head before we put the head on. All right, our right arm is going to be right there. It's going to be sticking up and then bent at the wrist like, yeah. Yeah is a technical term, I should know. I wrote the manual. That's in, so now we can do our left arm, which is just going to jam into the shoulder socket. And everyone was caramel dancing. That's the body. Next is the head. We'll grab the back of the head, now add the front of the face. Okay, those are the two halves of our head. And just plop it on the neck. Alright, base time, he's all done. The first Moon Shinobi is done. We're going to call this one Sapporo. And the hardest part for his assembly was... it was quite easy. I guess mashing the torso onto the pelvis was a little weird. It's kind of a wobbly connection, but if you just keep squishing it, it'll eventually settle and not have too big of a seam. But fairly simple for 8 bits. Let's move on. Our second Moon Shinobi has one last bit, I think. We will grab the body and then do the left leg, followed by the flappy thing that goes on his left hip, right hip, blah, followed by the bottles that are strapped to his chest. It'll connect here as well as on the back. And then we can do the right arm, the left arm, and the head. All right, so these 2 bits first. Here is our body. Now turn them around and add our left leg. Now, orientation is going to be slightly weird. Best thing I can tell you to do is to put him on a flat surface. He's going to be a really weird stance, but make sure that the tip of this toe is flat, and then this, just shift it around until it is flat on the ground. Like so. All right, next, our flappy bit. Gonna connect right here, flowing back. I was very wrong. That is not flapping back. It is flapping down. It's flapping, but not like back. It looks like this. Okay, let's do the bandolier, whatever thing, with the bottles on it, which will connect here and then go around here, but it will be floating. I don't think it fully connects to the torso. So be gentle. It is floating, but it was actually fairly easy to get it to align correctly with what's on the torso. All right, quick review of what's left. We have our right arm, our left arm, and the head. Right arm goes in the right shoulder. Just fine. Now left arm goes in the left shoulder socket. Both of those are notched connection points, which will make it very easy for you to get them to sit in correctly. Now let's add the head. Yeah, we're good. Put them on a base. Our second moon shinobi is done. We're going to call this one Asahi. Pain points for him, I guess, we'll say the bottles on the rope, string, whatever that's going around his shoulder. That was the hardest part. Again, fairly simple, a lot simpler than I was expecting it to be. I'm not going to complain too much, especially since gremlins could be a lot worse. Let's move on. Our last moon shinobi has the fewest bits, so it should go pretty quick, but it does have slightly awkward or tricky connection or whatnot. That is going to be the right arm. Goodness, he's upside down, so it's hard to remember which is right and left. Our right arm and the head. But anyways, well, we'll grab the body, and then we'll actually attach the head first. You see on the back of the head there is a notch here that is a connection point, which connects to his right arm. So we'll add the right arm next, which will go in the right shoulder socket and attach to the back of his head. Then we'll do the left arm, which is holding the bottle upright, and we'll finish with the right leg. Again, he is upside down, sitting on his shoulders. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, here's the body. Now add the head down there. There's the head. Remember, he's sitting on his shoulders. So now we can add the right arm and attach to the back of his head. I'm not entirely sure I have the orientation of the head down completely, but that's fine because we're going to add the arm, and the arm will force it into the right spot. All right, let's do that. All right. That looks good. Shoulder seems fine, and it fits in that groove on the back of the head. Real nice. So now we can do the left arm, which is basically pointed straight up because it has a bottle balancing on the fingertips. Left arm looks good. Last, we'll do the right leg, which is just going to be parallel to the ground. There is the right leg. View from the back. And then recheck that our left arm, the bottle, is more or less viably balancing on his fingertips, which I think that's good, so let's add him to a base. Our third moon shinobi is done. We're going to name this one Kirin. Hardest part was getting that left arm oriented correctly, so the bottle is... It could be considered to be balanced. I might just nudge it a little bit after this because it still seems slightly out of wonk. And if you didn't know about the head attaching to the right arm, you might not have missed that step entirely, but that's what I'm here for. Right, okay, that's him. Let's look at the whole box. The Brewmaster Core box is done, containing Brewmaster, Apprentice Wesley, Fingers, and 3 Moon Shinobi. They're gremlins, and they're all on 30mm basis, so relatively small minis with somewhat small bits. Not nearly the hardest gremlin I've assembled, but not the easiest one either. Overall, just a general difficulty with arms and feet, not in very solid connection points. You really got to just double-check the render, see how it looks, give it time to cure so you don't actually knock it out of place. So, hardest parts of this build, probably Brewmaster's barrel and his shiner staff, as well as aligning the ropes on Wesley, and probably that bottle arm on the 3rd Moon Shinobi. That's about it. I'd say a medium difficulty build, and they're very goofy little guys. Everyone loves them. Drunken Goblin Monk. But I've been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build better Malifaux. Yeah.